thing. So what are your references actually for a study? Obviously, the first reference would be your publication effectivity sheet for API 570. We'll go to it and we'll explain how this works. So if you look at the publication effectivity sheet, you see a list of material reference documents. Obviously, API 570 is the all-important one. You should study also the addendum that are brought here. So make sure that you're reading the correct revision, which is 2018 revision. API 571, you only need to study these different types of damage mechanism and corrosion types. And API 574, it's an inspection practice. So I would suggest that you study 574 in conjunction with API 570. 174 is inspection practice and the 570 is the code. Now, what is the difference? As an API piping inspector, 570, most of the time you'll work with 574 because these are the guidelines and it tell you how to inspect and that sort of thing. So once you do your calculation and everything, you check it against 570 to make sure that the requirements of 570 are met. So that is the code or the law. And this one is the guideline or inspection practice or how to inspect. So you better read it together. Then as you see here, this is in red, 576. So that means this is a new document that has been recently introduced. Okay, so you have to study this for pressure relieving devices. And then 577, welding inspection and metallurgy. Now, some of you are welders, welding inspectors, or but this is actually written with operational maintenance and repair in mind, not with fabrication welding inspection. And you have to study this, I would suggest, with in conjunction with ASME section 8.9, which is the code. And then positive material identification, 578, non-destructive examination. And then finally, you have the ASME B16.5, pipe flanges and process piping. The reason you have to study this is because B31.3 process piping is the basis for 570, because eventually if you are inspecting and repairing or testing the piping, it is based on B31.3, so you should comply with that at the end of the day. Again, you're restoring it to this original condition. Now, what is the body of knowledge here? So body of knowledge actually is a very valuable document. The publication effectivity sheet tells you what you should study, which revision, and from which chapter. Now, body of knowledge is actually tell you what you should expect during exam or what you are expected to know as an API 570 authorized piping inspector. And as I told you, the open book question are all awareness or practical type of question, and the closed book question are the closed book question are all awareness or practical type of question, and the open book question is that you have to refer to the documents. Okay, so it would tell you what you need, what you are expected to know. For example, but it also tells you that it doesn't mean that if you have mentioned something here, it does not mean that other paragraph is excluded, as you can see here. Okay. So this is just a case example, and it tell you the publication, the list of all the publication you need to know without revision number, ASME and API publication. And it tell you about corrosion rate and inspection interval you should know. So which section you can find that corrosion rate and remaining service life, and you should know about weld joint quality factors, EJ and EC, casting quality factors, and where you can find that sort of information. So you have to read all this, what is mentioned, doubly. So these are the potential exam question that's going to come. Okay. Internal pressure, minimum thickness of the pipe. This is the all important one, and where you can find them, B31.3, section 304, 1 and 2. And And then you should know about pressure testing. Again, it's all in B31.3, 1.5 times pressure test, impact testing, um, and then preheating and heat treatment, thermal expansion, and etc. So you read this, and what is not included or excluded brought here. So to make absolutely sure, you shouldn't study this, the last page. So practically, guys, to put in a nutshell, you don't need to be a welding inspector or NDT examiner or a piping designer to attend this exam, because that is not what a piping inspector is about. You should know obviously about the basics of welding inspection, WPS. You should know about pressure relieving devices. You should know about NDT. You should know about the most common damage mechanism or corrosion. You should know about inspection side of the B31.3 process piping, and then obviously 570 and 574 inspection code and piping inspection code and inspection practice. So so you should know about the basics. For example, you should know what you should see in a WPS, what you should see in a NDT report, in a UT report, or an RT report, or a visual testing report. So you should have a general knowledge, and the level of exam is very basic. Okay. Um, Thank you.